different balls to you, and I'm in the middle of the hatching season, and I get asked a lot of questions around about this time, but mostly to do with when people feel they should cut their eggs. Now, I'm going to go over a few things, and what you've got to do from this video is take the bits of information and put them into practice in your setup, in your incubation. You need to find out, where you are and how you incubate. This is not a what to do, and how could I say? This is not a this is what you definitely do. This is what you need to look for. So let's start off from the basics. Your incubation method will determine when you should cut your eggs. And I want to make a few things clear. I don't say you should cut your eggs. What I'm saying is, for me, I prefer to cut my eggs for two reasons. One is I want to see what's inside, obvious, and two is for health reasons. I try and let one pip before I cut the whole clutch, and if, for example, I'm going to be out all day and I know that clutch is due to pip on that day, I will tend to cut the clutch the night before. Simple. There's two things I look for in the clutch before I cut, and that is, and you'll see in some of the egg cutting videos I've showed you, if you haven't, go back and watch some of those videos from this season. I do explain it in there. So one thing I look for is how easy the eggs pull apart, and the second thing is, can I feel the snake pushing back on the egg? So i.e. you kind of feel more snake than you do egg. Those two things help me determine whether or not the egg is ready to be cut. And let me tell you this straight. Yes, I love to see what's inside, and it makes for an interesting video, but the main reason is, if, for example, one snake pips and another snake doesn't, and that snake that doesn't pip, and I wait for that snake to pip and it dies, I know a lot of people would think it's natural selection, and it is what it is, but unfortunately that responsibility falls on me. And the reason why I feel this way is I've put the parents together, I've produced this clutch. The best thing I can do is give every snake a fighting chance to make it out of the egg. If one snake don't make it out of the egg because I refused to cut and the others had pip and it died, unfortunately the blame is on me. That's just how I feel, and this is the way I look at things. So for me, I'd rather give every snake a fighting chance to make it out the egg, and at least then, if it does die after it's made it out the egg, at least it's kind of not, the onus isn't on me, if that makes sense. So again, going back, I look for how easy the egg separates from the bunch. If they're all bunched up, I see how easy they are and how easy they pull apart. And then the second thing is, can I feel the snake pushing back on the egg? If I can feel that snake, if I can feel more snake than egg, let's say, then pretty much I know it's ready. Pretty much from that point, I'm not going to cause any damage, and I know it's not going to be an issue. So the other side of that coin is how you incubate. So the one thing I've learned, and I've said this before in my videos, I've always done things in Fahrenheit, not in Celsius. And it was just how I was taught and how I've continued to go on through the breeding over the years, right? So the one thing I have realized is Celsius and Fahrenheit, when you are incubating, Fahrenheit, I feel you can dial in your incubator more precise. Simple. I'm not going to go back and forth on Celsius versus Fahrenheit. For me, I can dial my incubator in a lot better with Fahrenheit over Celsius. So for those people out there who work in Celsius, it's fine, not a problem. But for me, I can kind of fine tune my incubation or my incubator in with Fahrenheit. That's how I work. And I can tell you now, I set my incubator up probably 3 weeks before I know I'm due to get a clutch, and then I keep an eye on the incubator. Now, the one thing you'll learn is the more items you put in the incubator, the warmer it will get, so the stat will be on less. So if you've set up your incubator with no egg boxes in, no eggs obviously, your incubator will probably stay on a lot longer than when you've got items in there which hold and absorb the heat. Now, I use water bottles in the bottom of my incubator, and the reason for that is when the water bottles get warm or up to temperature, they act like a mini heat storage. So if I open the door on my incubator, okay, and to get a clutch out or to arrange some clutches in order, whatever, and I shut that door, it doesn't take long for the incubator to get back up to temperature, because those water bottles work, like I said, as like a type of radiator. They help maintain the heat. Now, you don't need water bottles. It's just something that I work with, and I've always worked with, just in case. So in each of my incubators, I have 3 2-litre water bottles in the bottom, which helps sustain the heat. And I also find I don't get so much fluctuation from top to bottom, because the bottom bit is obviously going to be cooler than the top. Yeah, we have a fan in the incubator, which I'll recommend, which will help circulate the air from top to bottom, so it'll keep the air rotating, and it'll also help with keeping the air temperatures stable. However, you're still going to get cooler air at the bottom than you will at the top. The water bottles help keep the temperatures that slightly warmer at the bottom, which helps for an even distribution or a more stable heat from top to bottom. Now, I don't put thermometers in my egg boxes. Don't bother. I don't see the point, and the reason for this is because if you've got an egg box or egg boxes with gauges on each one, if one of those gauges is out, naturally you're going to panic. You're going to think, oh, that egg box is, there's something wrong, You're going to take that clutch out or that egg box out, and you're going to open the lid, you're going to be messing about with it, and it's going to create problems. So for me, what I don't know don't hurt me. Okay, I have one thermometer which sits in the middle. Hopefully you guys can see it. Sits in the middle of the incubator, and that's on the outside, so that's measuring the heat within the incubator, not in the egg boxes, within the incubator, in the middle. Okay, my thermostat at the top, the probe is in the middle of the middle, so in the middle of the incubator there, that's where the probe is, in the middle of the middle. Okay, it dangles down in between the boxes. My thermostat on top is set at 91 degrees Fahrenheit. In my incubator, in the middle, because at the moment I've got 2 gauges, one there and one there. The stat is set at 91. The one in the middle is reading 91. The one on the top there is reading 90. I've got a fan which is circulating the air up and down. So from that, I know, because I've done this experiment with a thermometer within an egg box, I can tell you my egg boxes are running internally around about 88 to 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's how I set my incubators up. It works for me because of the way I set up my egg boxes and the way my incubators are set up. Now, if you've got a different incubator to me, if your method is different, then your temperatures are going to be different, and how you incubate is going to be different. So recently I had a message from someone saying that their eggs hadn't hatched and they were on day 60. Now, my clutches tend to hatch on day 53, 54, there or thereabouts, and they hatch perfectly fine. You guys can see the results when you watch my videos. They hatch, no issues whatsoever. I don't incubate at a higher temperature than normal, because most people incubate at 89, so they set their incubators up at 89 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't incubate higher for any particular reason. A lot of people think, oh, it's to hatch them out earlier than 55 days. It's not. It's because I'm trialing a little something, and I've been doing that higher temperatures now for 3 years, and I will bring the results to you guys at the end of this breeding season, and I will talk to you more about the reason why I'm doing it. I advise anyone out there to work out, if say for example you're following my method, that's fantastic, that's fine. I would advertise and sort of advise, should I say, people incubating round about 89 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit if you're following my method. If you're following someone else's method, then you need to follow what they incubate at, because otherwise they wouldn't be putting the information out if it didn't work for them. Well, we hope not. But you know, if it works for them and you're following their method, then follow their temperatures, follow the way they set up their egg boxes, follow their whole process. If you follow a bit of mine and you follow a bit of someone else's and you're having issues, then unfortunately I don't know what the answer would be, because this is how I do, you know, mine. So I can help you if you've set up the way you do it, like me, if that makes sense, because I've experienced the situation. So going back to the guy that messaged me, his eggs hadn't pipped and it was on day 60. I asked him the temperatures, and his temperature range was in the egg box, within the incubator, around about 86 to 87 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know. I can't give him an estimated day on when those hatchlings should be hatching, because I don't incubate at that temperature. However, what I can tell you, if you are cooler than, let's say, the baseline, which is 89 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, then instead of hatching on day 55, which I can tell you if I incubate on 89 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit, my hatch date is 55 days, pretty much on the nose, okay? If you incubate at that, then pretty much around about 55 days your babies will hatch. If you're incubating cooler, then obviously your days are going to extend. So if you're let's say doing 88 to 89 Fahrenheit, I can imagine they'll be hatching on day 57, 58. If you're incubating a little bit cooler, like this gentleman was at 86 to 87, then you could be talking 60 days plus. I don't know. All I can say is I've heard good and bad for higher temperatures and lower temperatures. I've heard people saying that their eggs were deformed at higher temperatures, and I've heard people say that the babies died at lower temperatures. They didn't make it out the egg. I don't know, and I don't take any chances. So I do what works for me. It works. It's reliable. I don't panic either if my temperatures spike up a little bit or drop down. A couple of seasons ago I had an electrical power failure and the incubator was probably off for a few days, and I didn't realise. It never created me any problems whatsoever. And again, this season we've had a few heat waves here in the UK, and the incubators shot up to around about 93, 94. Again, didn't panic. I've left the door open on the incubators, let them cool down, maybe put a fan blowing in to cool down the air. But again, if you think about it in the wild, the mom would do the best she could do to keep those temperatures at the optimal level. It may not always work. Maybe some days for her it may be cooler, some days it may be warmer. So, you know, in the wild they wouldn't maintain the same temperatures. So the question is, now I've kind of rambled on a little bit, but it's trying to help you understand where your mindset should be when to cut eggs. And again, guys, you are the breeder. You are meant to be the responsible person that we all aim to be, which is responsible breeders. Okay, so I know it's like Christmas sometimes, and I know sometimes a lot of you guys are itching to cut the eggs open to see what's in there, but please don't cut too early. You know, work out your temperatures, work out the days. Like I said, if you're incubating around about 89 degrees Fahrenheit, then normally around about 55 days is when they should hatch. So use a bit of common sense. If you are incubating lower than 89 degrees Fahrenheit, then it's going to take a little bit longer for those babies to hatch. I don't agree, or I don't advise, should I say, anything lower than 89 degrees Fahrenheit. I feel it's not healthy for the snakes. That's my opinion. Okay. And again, I don't advertise or advise, should I say, going above 91. I kind of don't advise going above 90, if I'm being brutally honest with you. This is something I'm working with, and I've done it for the past 3 years now. And again, I'm going to share with you the results that I find with this season, once I've got 3 years worth of data behind me on what I'm doing. So I'd advise 89 degrees Fahrenheit, around about day 55 is when they should be hatching. And what you want to do on day 54, open the lid of your egg box, have a look at them, see if they can pull apart, see if you can feel the egg, feel the snake within the egg, or feel more snake than egg, and then probably wait another, wait till day 55, and then maybe proceed with cutting open the eggs. But remember, proceed with caution. Make sure your temperatures are dialed in. I know some big breeders, and Justin's admitted this himself. He accidentally cut a clutch. I think it was on day 3 or something like that, and the eggs went on to thrive and produce snakes. It didn't create issues, but from that, what Justin was trying to point out was we all make mistakes. It's not something he he was meant to have done, but it happens. So don't be too hard on yourself. Incubate at the correct temperatures. If you are in Celsius, try switching over to Fahrenheit. See if you can dial in your incubator a bit better. And again, guys, if you are following the method that I do, great. Try and keep to how I do things. Try not to use a hybrid of my method and someone else's, because it may not work. You've got to find what works for you, and there's more than one way to do it. You haven't got to do my method. You can do other people's methods, but try not to sort of make a hybrid of other people's methods, because you will get kind of mixed results, if that makes sense. The answer to the original question, when should I cut my eggs, is once you've got all that data, once you've got all that information and you've taken that in, you should now be able to work out for yourselves when it's safe to cut your eggs. And again, please do it responsibly. Don't go in it like a bull in a china shop. If you're shaking, if you're nervous, if someone else is a bit calmer, let them do it, whatever. Just take your time, okay? You've put a lot of time and effort into breeding these snakes and producing this clutch of eggs. Don't mess it up because curiosity got the better of you. They will come out healthy if you do things correctly and safely. Okay, guys? I hope this helps. I'm sorry there's no definitive answer, but you guys need to work out how you do things. But like I said, there's a bit of food for thought there, and I hope it does genuinely help. All right, guys? Hope you're all well. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay safe, look after everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.